and is fully determined not to quit until they find it. When our children are learning how to walk, how many times will your baby attempt to walk and fall and you just say, just sit down, don't try anymore, you've fallen 20 times. Just sit down somewhere, busting your lip and everything, getting in folks' way. When will a baby walk? It will walk when it walks. That's when it will walk. Les, when will you be known nationally as the motivator? I will be known when I'm known. That's when I'll be known. Don't get caught up in, well, I've tried it 4 or 5 times and things didn't work out. If there's something that you want and you're hungry for it, you've got to do whatever is necessary until. And when you give the best you can and that's not enough, you must do what is required. And don't give up on yourself. Don't throw the towel in so quickly. Many people give up on the 1-yard line, where if they have the determination just to keep on knocking. It's a funny thing about life. If you're home one day and someone is knocking on the door and you say, I don't want to be bothered today. And if that person just keep on knocking, say, can you believe that fool's still knocking? Pretty soon you say, what is it? What do you want? And that's how you've got to be about your dream.
Respect is earned. Honesty is appreciated. Trust is gained. Loyalty is returned. If you need music on the beach, you're missing the point.
The one who is unaffected by pleasure and pain, who is steady in success and failure, and who remains undisturbed by the changing conditions of life, is a true yogi. Bhagavad Gita.
In the end, everything will be okay. If it's not okay, it's not yet the end. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried.
The only real limitation on your abilities is the level of your desires. If you want it badly enough, there are no limits on what you can achieve. Brian Tracy.
Long-range impact on our children, as far as self-image is concerned, occurs in the preteen or very early teenage years. When the child who has this poor self-image, who does not have a lot of friends, who one day realizes that Johnny and Mary are different, that boys and girls are different. Johnny meets Mary, and Johnny has been rejected in his mind all of his life. Mary's been rejected all of her life in her eyes, and now they discover each other. And they discover that chemistry is in more places than in the laboratory. And they kind of latch on to each other. For the first time, they find somebody who loves them just for themselves. And a very volatile situation is underway. That's one of the reasons a study done by Concerned Women for America shows something that is rather intriguing. Here's what they discovered. Girls who start dating at 12, the odds are 5 to 1, that by the time they graduate from high school, they will be in a sexual relationship. Girls who start dating at age 16, the odds are 5 to 1 that they will not be involved in a sexual relationship by the time they finish high school. Very significant. The parents' self-image, therefore, will play a major role in the way they deal with their child. Because how many times does a child come home with incredible pressure and want to start dating? All of her classmates are going out. I so well remember when our oldest daughter started putting the pressure on us.
Remember that on the one hand, desires command you to obtain what you long for, and on the other, aversions command you to avoid what you dislike. Those who fail to gain what they desire are unfortunate, whilst those who fall into what they seek to avoid are miserable. So if you seek to avoid only those things contrary to nature amongst the things that are in your power, you will accordingly fall into nothing to which you are averse. But if you seek to avoid sickness or death or poverty, you will be miserable. 2. Therefore, remove altogether your aversion for anything that is not in our power, and transfer it to those things contrary to nature that are in our power. For the time being, completely restrain your desires, for if you desire any of those things not in our power, you are bound to suffer misfortune. For of those things in our power, which it would be proper to desire, none is yet within your grasp. Use only choice and refusal, but use even these lightly, with reservation, and without straining.
The best view comes after the hardest climb. Experience is the teacher of all things.
You are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. C.S. Lewis.
People don't get what they deserve. Being alone gives us an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves.
You are one decision away from a completely different life. Alex Hormozy.
Almost all the positive emotion we feel, that's experienced in relationship to a goal. And so in some sense, you want a goal that you can never attain. Right? So you can always move closer to the goal that recedes as you move towards it. You think, well, that's frustrating. It's like Sisyphus pushing the rock uphill. But it's not, because as you pursue that goal, you put yourself together and your life does get better and richer and more abundant.
We're running from the truth, man. So the only way I became successful was going towards the truth. As painful and as brutal as it is, it changed me. It allowed me to become, in my own right, who I am today. All the pain and suffering that they put on top of me in Hell Week, I will reverse that pain and suffering, and I will take your soul. So every instructor that put me through BUDS, my job, what drove me, was I wanted you to go home that night after you beat the living shit out of me, and I smiled in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did, and you were going home to a nice warm bed with your wife or your kids and a nice meal, and I was still out there in the grip, suffering for another 100 hours. I wanted you to think about me, knowing that I'm comfortable being very uncomfortable.
The thing about transformation is you have to do it. You've got to put in the work when nobody cares. You know, nobody cared if I practiced. Nobody cared if I worked out. I didn't have parents who are like, hey, you know, Dan, you got to go to the gym. Oh, hey, Dan, you know, go out and run some sprints. Nobody cared. If you want to transform, you have to do the work if nobody cares. There's only one person who has to care. That's you. You've got to.
The things themselves that affect us, they stand without doors, neither knowing anything themselves, nor able to utter anything unto others concerning themselves. What then is it that passeth verdict on them? The understanding.
Do not give in too much to feelings. An overly sensitive heart is an unhappy possession on this shaky earth. Do not go broke trying to impress broke people.
We must dare to be great, and we must realize that greatness is the fruit of toil and sacrifice and high courage. Theodore Roosevelt.